In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down Framer CMS for an absolute beginner. So if you're new to Framer and you don't understand Framer CMS at all, this is the video that would explain everything step by step so that you understand it after you're done or after the video ends. Now, what is Framer, or what is a CMS rather? The CMS simply means Content Management System. So think of the CMS as a way or as a tool that lets you manage the content in your site without you touching the design, right? So all you have to do is set up the CMS, set up the pages, and then subsequent pages for that particular CMS would be controlled from the CMS and not the design itself. A better example of this is, let's go to Amazon.com, for instance. You're going to see different products. iPhone 16 Pro Max, you're going to see a Sony camera, all of that stuff. If you click on a particular product, you'd go to what they call the detail page of that product, where you'd see the name of the product, you'd see images of the product, you see the specs of the product, you'd probably even see reviews and all of that stuff, right? Now, if you click on another product, you will see a similar structure, the product name, the product images, the specs, the reviews. Another product has the same structure. Now, because of that repetitive, detail page structure and all, the perfect way to manage all of these things is through a CMS. Because think about it, if you're having different pages on your site for different products and you have like 1,000 products, you'd have 1,000 pages on your site, and that's just going to be very hard to manage, right? So for Framer, the best way to manage, designs like this is via a CMS. So you need a CMS for things like blog, because if you have 10 blogs, all these blogs have similar structure for their detail pages. So you need a CMS to be able to manage all of this easily without touching the design. So if you set it up, connect the pages well to the CMS, you don't need to touch the pages anymore if you want to design, except if you want to change the structure of the page. But subsequent pages for that particular blog will be managed from the CMS, if that makes sense. So without further ado, I'm going to jump straight into Framer and show you a couple of examples of Framer CMS. Then I'm going to go straight into setting it up and all of that stuff, so you can better understand how CMS works and how you can create one yourself. So let's get right into it. Okay, so before we head into Framer, let me just show you a quick example here on Amazon. So as you can see here, a list of products. If I select one, it will take me to the detail page of this product. So this is what the layout looks like. We have images on the left, we have info, that's the name of the device and some of other specs here. And then we have this call to action over here. So this is a simple horizontal layout. Now, if I go back and select the different device, you would see the exact same layout, right? But then different content. So this is a perfect example where you need to use a CMS. Now, another example is over here. So this is the template I built in Framer. If you want a copy of this, you can check the description down below. It's actually free, so you do well to grab a copy if you want it. So I've used the CMS for the journal page, aka blog. So if I select this now, I'm going to go to the index page. So what is the index page? Index page is basically the page that has all the items in your CMS collections. So Amazon, for instance, let's go back here. We can call this page that has all of these products the index page, and then the page that talks about individual products, the detail page. So if we go back here, we're going to see that this is the index page that has, list of journals. And then if I select any of these, I'm going to go to the detail page of that particular journal. So as you can see, this is a very simple structure. I have the banner over here. I have this title. I have this description. So this is what the layout looks like. Now, if I go back and select a new journal, you would see that exact same layout, but then different content. So this is how you can use the CMS. Now, quickly, before I head into, a fresh file to demonstrate how to build this, I want to show you what the, layout looks like in Framer. So if I come over here and I select this, this is what the index page looks like. So as you can see, very simple. And if I click on this drop down, as you can see, this icon at the front indicates that this is a CMS detail page. And this 4 is just the number of CMS items you have in the CMS, of course. So if I select this now, you'd see the detail page. And if I want to swap and see the other detail pages, I can just click on this drop down, select like this, and that's how I can check. And as you can see, they have the same structure but different layouts. Now, the advantage of this is, first of all, you have a neat page. So let's say I have 100 journals. It's just going to be, arranged neatly in this, CMS detail pages. If I didn't use a CMS, I would have 100 pages over here. And that's not what we want. It's not very efficient or easy to manage. And the advantage is that anything I change here in this layout is going to affect the layout of the other detail pages. So think of CMS as, a component for pages, if that makes sense. So let's see, I want this description here. Or let's just see this line, this tag here to be on top. If I do this to move it on top and I check the other detail pages, you'll see that it's on top in every other thing. Now, I didn't have to do it one by one. Right, let's move that back and let me show you that it's going to work for the other one. So as you can see, it has updated across all the pages, right? So this is a brief example. And if I open up this CMS, so this is the journal collection. I have two collections here, but we don't need this one. We need this one. So these are the journals I have, just 4 journals. Now, if I want to add a new journal, I would not need to, touch the design or duplicate anything because I've already set it up once. So subsequent journal pages can be created from this place, right? All I have to do is select new item over here. As you can see, I get this blank slate that I created, of course. So you can put the image, the title, description. When you do all of this and you press save draft, you're going to get a new page. So let me quickly illustrate. So let's duplicate one of these, for instance. So we're going to click on save drafts like this. So if I go back to the page, this is the detail page. If I open this up, as you can see, it's no longer 4, it's 5 now. And if I go to the index page, remember we had just 4 cards. If I scroll now, you can see 5. So now you see that I didn't have to come on here and change anything manually. Everything works automatically just by updating content here on the CMS. So that is how easy it is to manage content, to edit content, to add new content with Framer's CMS. Without further ado, let's head straight into the file we'll be working on. So right now, what you're looking at right now is a Framer file. If you followed my full site build in Framer, you would recognize this design. So I have this simple design over here. This is 3 sections: the homes, the hero section, the about section, and then the contact section. Now, let's say I want to add a project section. I want case studies, right? And I have, let's say, 4 different projects. So the first thing I want to do to be able to create the CMS is to click on the CMS icon on the top here. So I'll select it. So you're going to get this prompt here. So if you're creating a blog, you can just click on add blog and Framer is going to automatically create the CMS for you, create the index page and then the detail page for you, right? And then you can now modify things accordingly and edit content. But we want to do this from scratch, step by step, so that you can better understand how to create a CMS on your own. So we'll click on this plus icon over here. Now you're going to land on this UI here. So we're going to call this project like this. Let's just leave it like this for now. Now over here is where you can add fields. So now imagine what you want your pages to look like or your case study to look like or your blog, depending on what you're creating, right? So like for me now in my case, I know that I want my case study to have a problem statement, a solution, an introduction, the case study itself, and then maybe a case study image, the title, all of that stuff. I know that all my case studies will have these things. So the first step I'm going to take is to click on edit fields over here. So if I click on this, you can see Framer has automatically given us 3 fields, but we're going to just delete this third one because we don't need it. So for title, we want to leave it because we want the title, of course. Let's just call this project title. Beautiful. Now, what other fields do we want? So to speeding things up, I have ChatGPT generated case studies here, just 4 case studies with simple fields. So as you can see, this is the title. We need this in the field, of course. And then this is the introduction because we need a sort of description. So this is my personal options and my personal choice. So if you want other fields, maybe you want field for process, you can add that as well. But these are the fields I'm going to add in this particular CMS for better illustration. So I'm going to have a field for introduction, for problem statement, for solution, and then for case study. So I'm going to go back to Framer. So I have my first field, title. I want a new field, so I'm going to click on this plus over here. So as you can see, you can add a couple of fields here. Very simple. So plain text is just basic text. Very simple. Formatted text is, more advanced text editor where you can have bullet points, text formatting. You can have headers, you can have numbers, you can have images, you can have inline videos, right? So this is more advanced. But we don't need this. We would need it, of course, but when we get there, I'm going to better explain how it works. Then you can also add date. Very simple. If you're having a blog, you want to write the date the blog was published. So this is very handy. And then there's link, there's image. If you want to add image to the layouts, for in this case, I'm going to add image, of course. So I will select image like this just to illustrate because I want a project image like so. So let's quickly go back and check the other options we have. So gallery is when you have like a list of images, you have plenty images you want to upload, you use this option. And then color, you can have a field for color, right? You can have a field for toggle. So you want to toggle something on and off, for number, for option, for file, for vector sets, for reference. So you can reference items in another CMS collections, but I might get into this in this video or in another video, but I'll try and cover as much as I can in this particular one. And then this one is just, for the UI of here. You can divide, contents here, but you don't really need that for now. So let's add other fields. Remember, I want an introduction field. So let's just copy this text here. And I'm going to make a new field for introduction. So I'll click on plus. Now we need a plain text because over here, as you can see, the introduction is just a simple text. So we don't need any complicated things. So we need a plain text for this. So I'll click on plain text like this. I'll call it introduction. Simple. And I'll come back here again. I want a field for problem statement. I'll copy this, come over here, click on the plus icon. I'm going to create another field for plain text again. And I will name this problem statement. Now I want another one for solution. So I'll copy solution over here, come here, and I need, of course, a plain text as well. I'm going to paste solution. Now I want another field for case study. As you can see, this case study is different because the contents here has some formatting, bullet points. As you can see, this research, insights, design, and outcome, they are bolded and they are different from this description. So we want the other option, which is formatted text, so we can be able to do all of that easily, right? So I'll click on plus, I'll click on formatted text, and I'll call this case study. Now we're going to just quickly arrange this up so that everything looks clean. Now the first thing I want to be on top, you can just drag. This doesn't really matter actually, but I like to just keep things organized, right? So just accordingly, right? Very simple. Now that that's done, you're just going to click out and that's it. Now, if you want to add a new item, all you have to do is just click on new item over here. Now you'd get all those fields that you created. I remember you created title, image, introduction. I'll talk about slug in a bit. Problem statement, solution, and the rest. So we're just going to add in the content. I'll go to my CMS, copy the project title over here, finance tracker app redesign, come back here, paste it here. So as you can see, slug is just basically a unique link for that particular detail page. Now for introduction, I'm just going to come over here, copy introduction like this, and I would paste it here like so. I'll do the same thing for the rest of them. Copy problem statement over here, paste. Come here, solution. Copy the solution here. Come here, paste. Now for case study, now you're going to see why I use the formatted text here. So if I copy all of this with this formatting over here like this, and I come over here and I paste it, see that it's going to take up the same formatting. Let me just quickly edit this so that it looks better. So I can just select all of this, and as you can see, there are different options here. You can make a link. You can add a link to maybe a word now here. Just select this and press or paste the link you want to send that particular word to, right? And then you can make anything bold, italicize, you can add a quote. This one is for inline code. This one is for bullet points, for numbers, for image. So you can play with this and see what it does, but you can pretty much add or lay out anything in this formatted text field. So you can also add different headings here, but we're going to ignore that for now. So let's select all of this and add bullet point like this. Just add space. Sorry, this is going to, let me just quickly do this like this. So very simple. Now this is project 1. I'm going to add a dummy image for this project so that we can keep things in form. I'm going to use Unsplash for that so that we don't waste time. So I'll just select this. This is not relevant to the case study, of course. This is just an example. So now this is project 1. Everything in project 1 here, right? So I'll click on save. Now because I have 4 projects, I would make a new item for the other project. So I'll click on new item over here. I get a blank slate, of course. Image, let's just put a dummy image over here. I'll just select, let's do this one. And then for project title, I'll go to my doc. I'll copy this up. E-commerce website for sustainable fashion. I'll paste it here. As you can see, this log paste automatically. Now, in any case where maybe you're trying to edit an existing title and this doesn't change, then it's advisable for you to just copy what you have here and just paste it here, right? Because this is a new field. It's taking this log from the title by default, right? So just proceed to copy the other fields. Introduction, copy, come over here, paste it under introduction. Then come here for problem statement, I'm going to copy, and then we're going to paste it under problem statement. Come over here again for solution, copy the solution here, and then we'll come here and then paste solution. So as you can see, it's as easy as that. I'm going to proceed and do the rest for everything, and it's just basically the same steps, but just to save time. And that's it. Now that we've added all the project and all the fields correctly, remember you can always add your fields. So this is just an example. You can always come back to edit fields, add more fields, and then fill it in. So let's say I come here and I maybe add a field for maybe another image if I want. So as you can see, this is it. Let's just call this image 2. It's going to be empty by default across all this stuff. So if I come out here and I select any particular thing, see the image 2 field here, I can add an image. So that's how you can add fields and, update the content. But I'm just going to remove this, right click and remove to keep this uniform. Now, this is the first step of the whole process. The next thing we want to do is we want to go back. Next step would be to create the index page. Remember, the index page is a page that contains all the items in the CMS collection. So to create an index page, we'll come over here to the pages, click on this plus. Now, because you have a CMS collection, you'd find this option, new CMS page. So when you hover on this, you'd see the collection list you have. In this case, we have just one collection list, which is project. So you hover on this. Now you can create the index page and the detail page. But first of all, we want to do the index page. So we'll click on index. So what Framer is doing, right? Framer is just listing out every item in our CMS. Remember, we have 4 projects. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's just listing out everything. And this looks bad. So we need to change some things, right? So now we want certain information to show on the index page. We don't want everything to show on the index page, right? We just want maybe the thumbnail and the title of the projects to show. And then if we click on it, then we'll now go to that detail page that would show every single thing that we have in our CMS. So to do that, as you can see, what's happening here now is this is the CMS collection. If I open up the layers panel, you'd see that it's just one thing that's clickable. If I try to click on these other 4, it's not possible. And that's because it's a CMS collection and this first item here controls the other 3 below, right? So if I delete something on here now, it's going to delete across the other 3, right? So that's just how it works. Now I have to set up the card in a way that I want it to look like. So if you remember our previous example, the journal page, you saw how that journal cards looked like in the index page. Yeah, so we can do something similar here and make the project card look, somewhat nicer so that people can click to go to their individual detail pages. So first of all, I don't want it to be aligned horizontally. I want it to be vertical. So I'll select it. Remember, you can only make edits to the first one. So whatever you do to the first one is going to affect the other items in the list, right? So if you have 20 items, it's still the first one you have to edit to be able to achieve that uniform look, right? So first of all, I want this to be aligned vertically, that's top and down. So I'll select this like this. As you can see, this icon indicates this is the CMS, and then this is the image, and then this is the text. So if I select this like this, you see that the direction is aligned, horizontally. So I'll make it align vertically. So as you can see, the other 3 are editing accordingly. Now, one more thing I want to change is I want to remove some of this text here. Because if you look at this, we have other pieces of information that we do not want here in the index page. We want them in the detail page. So the only thing we want in this index page is just the image of the project and then the title. In this case, food delivery app. So I'll delete introduction and I'll delete problem statements because we don't want all of these here. We want them in the detail page. So this is what it looks like now. Obviously, we still need to format this more so that it looks better. So we'll select this image. Might want to lock the aspect ratio and then we'll make it fill container. Beautiful. Now, see that it's taking a little bit of shape. So I would select the first one again. I'll reduce the space, between these 2 items. Right now, the wrap is set to yes. That's why you're seeing 2 gap values. If I set this to no, it's going to have 1 gap value. That's what you want to do. So I'll make it like 12. 12 looks good. And I don't want it to be stacked like this. I want this to be a grid. That's 2 by 2 grid. So I'll select everything. So as you can see, this is like the collection itself. And then I'm going to change this from stack to grid like this. So it's like a 4 by 4 grid. 2 by 2 grid rather. You can make this 3 if you want. So columns, you can increase this to 3, but I want it to just be 2, right? And then I'll select it. So something is wrong. I don't like the fact that the width is too narrow. So I'll select the content here. This is what Framer generated by itself. So you have to do the extra steps to make this responsive, right? So you select this container like this, and the width, instead of fixed, you have to make it feel like this. Of course, you want to add some padding. So I'll just add 60 pixels padding over here. And obviously, I need to add some padding on the top so that there's space, from the nav. So I'll just select this. For the top padding, I'll make that 120 like so. And this is what it looks like now. Very simple, very neat. Now you can take it a step further. For instance, let's say you want hover effect. Because right now, if you preview this, you would not be able to see, it should be clickable when you make the index page. But right now, there is no hover effect on this, right? So you can make this a component, add hover effect and all of that stuff. Now, another thing I want to talk about is let's say you changed your mind, right? You want the problem statement to show up here in the index page, just an example, right? Or the introduction rather. Maybe you just want the title and the introduction to show up in the index page so that people can see or get better context about the project before they click on it. So how you do that is I'll just duplicate this like this. So now you have two titles. Now, this is still connected to the project title in the CMS. So if I disconnect this like this, so now what you just have is a normal text. So anything I type in here would practically show, in all the other, cards, right? But I want to connect this particular text here, this basic text here, to the introduction in the CMS collection. Remember, we have if I open one of these now, you see that we have introduction here for everything. So look at this, a food delivery platform. All these different items have different introductions. So if I go back, I want to connect this particular text to the introduction so that all the introductions for the different items can show up here. So how do I do that? I select this, and because it's a text, I would come over here to content. Because of there's a plus here, it means I can connect this particular text to something in my CMS. Remember, this is a CMS index page. You can connect any text you have on here to your CMS collection. So if I select this now and I hover on set variable, so as you can see now, you're seeing all the fields. These are all the fields in your CMS: project image, project title, slug, introduction. Now we want to connect that particular text to introduction, right? So we just have to click introduction. Now see what's happening, right? All of these introductions have changed. So as you can see, food delivery platform, this one is different, this one is different, this one is different, right? So that's how you can connect text in your CMS. Now, the reason why these images are different is because this image is already connected to project image in the CMS. If I select one of this image now, or this image only, because this is the only thing I can select. I can't select this or this or this, just this. If I select this now and I come over here to project image, and I just unlink this, let me just show you an example. So right now, this is what you're going to see. But if I want to grab the image from the CMS, I'll just click on this plus, set variable, and then project image. Now, everything is going to grab the individual images from the CMS. So you get the idea. You get the idea now. So this is what the index page looks like. Of course, you can go ahead, turn this into a component, select this like this, right click, and make this a component. You can call it whatever you want to call it. Let's do project card, right? And then create. So now you can pretty much add hover effects to this. So I'll just select this, add hover effects. Now, another thing I want you to know is that Framer would automatically create variables for you because they know that you are creating these components from a CMS index page. But there are cases where you would create a project card independent of the CMS and then manually have to connect it by yourself. So in that case, let's say you design a card, project card that you genuinely want to use as your project card, but now you want it in your CMS index page. When you drag the card into your CMS collection, you'd have to manually connect it. Of course, you create variables for different items in your CMS. So in this case, now you create, let's say this is the card you designed. So you'd create variable for image, you create variable for the title, of course, and you'd have to create variable for introduction. Because I'm making this component from the index page again, like I said, Framer is automatically creating all that variable for me. So if I go back now, you'd see that this is a component now, and all of that variable is already here by default and is already connected to the CMS by default, right? Because of I'm creating this component from the index page. So let's just proceed to add a hover effect to this. I'll just do something very simple. Let's increase the spacing here from 12 to maybe 22 like this. And if I go back, you should see the hover effect working. As you can see, it works for every other card. That's how simple you can create a hover effect. Another thing you need to know is you have to link this to the index page. This is where this log comes in. And now to do that, of course, I need to have a variable for link. So when I try to link it, I'm going to link it to the index, the detail page. But before that, I need to create a detail page, right? So how I am going to do that is I'm going to go back to pages like this. And on that page, I'll click on plus, new CMS, hover on project. Because you've made an index page that's grayed out, you can't click it again. So now you have to make a detail page. And just as you would expect, Framer has automatically created, something basic. So this is all the information in a particular item rather. So this is the one for food delivery app. If I click on this drop down, I can switch the different items I have in my CMS and the items are going to change. Now, the beautiful part about the CMS is if I want to change the layout of this, I don't have to do it one by one across the different, detail pages. All I have to do is change it in one of them and it's going to update across the other pages, right? So in this case, now let's just work on this particular page. Now, we want to make this responsive, of course. So let's go to the layers panel. So this is the stack wrapping everything. We'll make this field container for responsiveness. And we'll, of course, add maybe 60 pixels padding on all sides. Or let's add a bigger top padding. So we'll just do 120, 60, 60, 60. Beautiful. Now we want some hierarchy here, of course, because everything is just the same size. So I don't know if you caught on this, but if you have styles in your page, in this particular file, we did not create text styles or color styles. So this is just random. If you have styles like heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, Framer would automatically attach styles to all of these things, right? But because there's no style here, you'd have to do them manually here, right? So in this case, we have to create some hierarchy. We want the project title to be bigger. Of course, we don't want it to be the same. Again, Framer is automatically linking this text for you. So if you look at this, if I select this now, project title, this finance tracker app redesign, and I come over here, it is already linked to the CMS. Framer already knows that this is what you want in your detail page, all the information in your CMS. So that's why Framer has automatically linked it for you. But I've showed you how to, link things up if maybe eventually you want to add something else. So that's by the way. So now we want to make this bigger. So we'd come over here. So by default, this is taking the body size. And if I open this up, you see that I don't have any other style here. So I'll close this and I'll remove this style here. And I'm going to increase the size of this to something bigger. Now, this is not the best design ever, but I'm just doing this to illustrate something, right? So now, because of this singular act, if I go to the other items in the CMS, you'd see that their title has increased in size. So that's the beautiful part about the CMS, right? If I change the layout, if I change the size, if I change the color of anything on one page, it's going to affect the other pages. So that's pretty much the idea. So what is expected of you now on this detail page is to design the layout that you want, right? Design the layout that you want. Let it be perfect. Design it to your own taste. However you want to do it. If you want this image to be on the top, you can just move it like this. And if you go to the other ones, you see that the image has gone to the top. So now the creative freedom now is with you to design the detail page how you want. If you look at this one now, let's go to journals. If I go to journals like this and I open up one of these, this is how I've designed a detail page. So you see that you have creative control, you have creative power in these detail pages. You can pretty much structure it how you want, but just have in the back of your mind that the other detail pages would follow the same structure. So it's pretty much the same concept on here. Design it how you want and make sure to create styles. I should have created styles for this particular tutorial, but for once of time, I did not do that. But then you can go on, you can change the color of this to something black like this, and it's going to update across the other pages. That's pretty much the basics of the CMS, right? So the CMS is way more than this. You can do a whole lot more with the Framer CMS. It is dynamic. Okay, let's see, for instance, let's go back to the CMS. Now, all these fields you're seeing here are populated, right? So here there's a title. Of course, this is supposed to be compulsory, supposed to be required, supposed to be necessary, and this is what is supposed to be necessary. Now, let's just see you don't have an introduction for everything, right? Let's see for this particular food delivery app, you don't have an introduction and it's blank like this. You can set what they call conditions on all of these things, right? Such that if something is blank in the CMS, it won't even show up on that particular detail page. So now for this example, I've removed the introduction for this project food delivery app. So let's go back. Let's go to food delivery app. So as you can see, there is no longer an introduction here. So this is supposed to be where the introduction is, but it is taking up space, right? It is taking up space here because now I know there is no introduction here, but it's taking up kind of a little space here. So there is 20 pixels. Let's see. Gap. There's 15 pixels here, and there's 15 pixels under that. So we want to do something what is called the condition in Framer, such that if introduction is not set in the CMS, it will not even show up at all in that particular detail page. So if I select introduction here like this, as you can see, it's just a thin line because there's nothing here, of course. Let me just quickly show you the other CMS so you can see that introduction is here. So you do see this? It's here. Introduction is here, right? But it's not here in this food delivery app. So we want to set a condition for this. And that condition is simple. It's visibility condition because we want to show it when it is there. But if it's not there, we don't want to show it. So this is just an example of some of the things you can do with the Framer'S CMS. Of course, this is not the entirety of Framer'S CMS capabilities, but just an example. So if I select this like and I select set variable, now the variable I want to set is introduction. Now if you hover on this, you'd now see all of these items here. So is set, isn't set. We want to focus on these two now. So when you put is set, what that means is if it's set, it will be visible. But if it's not set, it will not be visible, right? So I'll put it's set. So as you can see now, it's no more taking any space here. That means it's not here. But if I check the other ones, they will still have their introduction. It's as simple as that. All you have to do now is just make some of these things, just make these responsive across tablets and make it responsive across phone. And it's as easy as that. You've created the CMS collection. The beautiful part about this now is, let's say you want to add a new item. Now that you've set up the page properly and you have linked things up, you don't have any business here on this page, right? What you have to now do is go back to the CMS. If you want to add a new project, if you want to, you just select new item over here, and then you see the lists. That's the fields that you created in the beginning. So all you gotta do is, let's just quickly do something. Let me add a dummy project and show you an example of what I mean. So I'll select a random image for this illustration. Project title, let's call this tutorial. So as you can see, the slug is here by default. So we'd leave that as is. Remember, if the slug is not here, you'd have to copy what is here as the title and paste it as a slug. For introduction, let's just do tutorial again. Just for an example, problem statement, tutorial, solution. Just do, just for example 6, right? So I'm just going to write tutorial for Framer CMS. Now, by hitting save, you have automatically made a new page, a new card in the index page, and everything is structured the way it should be structured, right? So I'll quickly show you right now. If I go back here like this, if I open up this drop down, as you can see, this is the new page for tutorial. So if I click on this now, you would see that all that information I put in the CMS is here right now. And everything is structured the way we want it to be structured, following, the CMS detail page structure, right? If I go back to the index page as projects like this, now you can now find a fifth item Look at it right here. So it's on the top. So it's going to be on the top here. And you can also reorder things, right? If you go to the CMS now, let's say you want tutorial, this one now to be at the bottom, you can just drag like this and place it where you want it to be, reorder things how you want. And if you go back to the CMS, you see that tutorial now is at the bottom, right? And also, if you have maybe multitude of projects, maybe you have like 20, 30, 40 projects, right? Which of course is not realistic, but let's just say you have that amount of projects. So you can do something else. So here, this is the index page, right? Let's go to the layers panel. So select the collection list. So this is what they call the collection list, right? So you come over here, you'd see some properties here. Of course, the source is this project, which is the collection list. Now you can sort it. You can select this. You can sort by anything you want, but let's just ignore this for now. Not very important. And now you can filter. So let's say you don't want certain projects to show on the index page. You can do that. It's very possible. And now pagination just basically means if you have plenty projects, obviously you don't want to show everything at once because of the impact on the site speed. So you add pagination, load more. Now, by default, it's going to just do 4 items. So what that means is it's going to just show 4 items. And if you want to see more, all you have to do is click on load more. So if I select this now, you can change this to 3. Right, you can change this to 2, but I think the recommended amount that you need to have, in the viewport at once is 4. Right, so as you can see, enabling infinite scroll with footers can impact site SEO. So if you have 40 projects and you don't have maybe pagination, it will impact your site speed. So I hope that I've been able to give you guys an idea of how the CMS works and how to create the CMS yourself. So yeah, I forgot to link this up to their separate detail pages. So as you can see, we have created the index page that has all the projects. And as you can see over here, these are the detail pages as well. So all of these are set up properly. Now the issue is if I preview this and I try to click on any of these projects, it doesn't go to the detail page of that particular project. So I'm going to show you how to link it up and link everything to where they're supposed to go. So if I select this right now, the only way I can do this now is to create a variable because this is a component, right? If this wasn't a component, I could have easily just selected this collection here, this first one. You'd see link on the top here and I'll link it to the slug. But because this is a component, I have to create a variable for link. So I'll go to the main component. While this is selected, variance 1, I'll click on this plus icon here to make a variable for link. So by default, it's called link, so I'll leave it as is. Now I'll go back to the index page. So while this is selected, I'm going to come over here. And under this link property, I'm going to click on add. And the only thing you have to do is just, see this CMS here, project slug, click on it. And that's how you link it to their separate pages. Don't worry about the rest. By doing this, you have linked the other items, that's these other 4, to their separate individual pages, right? So if I preview this and I check it out, you see that it's going straight to where they're supposed to go. If I preview this again and I check this one out, as you can see, everything works as it should. So that's how you can pretty much do this. Another thing I want you to know is, there are some cases where you'd want, let's go back to the home page. So right now you want a section in your home page that has the projects, maybe 2 projects, 3 projects, so that if they want to view more, they can just click on probably view more and go to this project page where they will now see everything, right? So that is why that's very simple to do. So one thing I like to do to make everything easy is just to come here, copy this collection list because it already has all the formatting I want. It has this component, it has the over effect. Everything I want is already here, so I don't have to go and redo it in the homepage. But if you want to do it from the homepage from scratch, all you can do is you come over here to insert, right? And then under collection, under CMS collection over here, you will see your projects. Of course, if you have other collections, you will see them here. But if you want to insert projects, it's simple. But before I do that, let's create a section for projects. So I'll just duplicate this about section like this. And then open this up so I can see what's going on here. And of course, I'm going to delete everything inside here. Beautiful. So I'll just paste or bring in the collection inside of this container here. So I'll go back to insert, over on collection, then project. I can just click and drag it inside here like this. So as you can see, these are your projects, right? Now, the problem with this is you have to now from beginning, you have to format it how you want. You have to do all of that hover effect, all of that stuff, and do it properly, make the image bigger. So to save yourself all of that stress, one thing you can do is just come here, go to the projects page, copy this up, right? This collection list. You copy it. As you can see, this is the projects collection. So this is it here. You just copy it, come back to your home page. Let's delete this. We'll paste the one we already have in our index page over here. As you can see, it's as easy as that. Now, of course, we don't want everything to show here. We can just delete this load more button. Of course, we want that to show up in the index page, of course. And we don't want 5 projects to be here. We want maybe a minimum of 2. So I would select this, click on this plus here, that's in this content here, and I'll set limit to, right now it's 3, but we want it to be just 2. So it's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Now, this is where filters can come in handy because you can actually filter the exact projects that you want to be featured in the homepage, right? So if you have 20 projects and you want to just feature probably maybe like two of your best in the homepage so that they can view those ones, you can filter here. So you can filter by any or all. You can just come over here. You can select the field you want to filter by name, by image, by slug, introduction. So this is quite more, intricate, but if you play around with this, you'd have a better understanding of how this whole thing works, right? So I'm just going to undo that. So that's pretty much it. You can go ahead and add, a header here for project. So let's quickly just copy this and paste like this. Of course, we'll change the direction from horizontal to vertical. We'll move this to the top. And then, of course, we'd want to add some space here. So we'll just do like 40. And of course, we might need to add a button here that says see all project. And that button is supposed to take you to the project index page. And that's pretty much everything you need to know about the Framer CMS, how to set it up, add collections and fields, connect it to your pages, and even build an index page and a detail page. We covered fields, hover effects, and the full setup process. If you'd like a follow-up tutorial on more advanced things like sorting, filtering, pagination, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more Framer tutorials. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.